I'm going down to the basement 'cause I got some time that's free. Spoof movie summer. I want some good belly laughs, but I really don't wanna think. Spoof movie summer. We had fun until cancel culture took them away.
A is for airplane. That's good enough for me. AFI's number 10 best comedy. Writers Guild and BAFTA best screenplay nominee.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley. The filmmakers themselves, the Zucker brothers and Jim Abrams. Thank you, movie gods, for creating these men. They're hilarious. They've made many a good movie I will go into later on in a different video, most likely. But today, we are talking about Airplane, their undisputed masterpiece. The best thing I found out about these guys is that they were in a massive dispute with the DGA, the Directors Guild of America, for not letting them use all three of their names as directing credits because for some reason they gave a shit back then. Like the Coen brothers, for example, they always co-directed their films, but until Lady Killers, they were only allowed to credit one or the other, which is why they always had Joel Coen be the director and Ethan Coen be the producer. And then they both wrote it. So you can have multiple writing credits, but not multiple directing credits. Same thing goes for editing. That's another story. Anyways, where's my thing? Oh, there it is. Yeah. So in order to make sure they were all credited as the film's directors, Jim Abrams legally changed his name to Abrams and Zuckers. That's the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life. And then they let him do it anyways, so they're all credited as they should be. So I thought that was kind of funny. My friend changed his middle name to Danger when he got married. True story. There's more to this video than I expected. Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue. Oh, God. The cast. Kind of not a no-name cast, but the leading, like, romantic couple was not, like, huge names at the time. That would be Robert Stack and Julie Haggerty. Both hilarious in this movie. Robert Stack would go on to do just stuff here and there. I don't know why. He just, like, never took off as, like, a super popular comedic actor, even though he's pretty damn good in this movie. He was the dad in the Homeward Bound movies, though, so he's got that going for him. And Julie Haggerty is in, like, What About Bob and some Albert Brooks films. She's just popping up everywhere. And then she showed up in Marriage Story, which I thought was hilarious. I didn't expect that to happen. And then you got sports legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, kind of playing himself, but not playing himself, as the joke goes. And he's hilarious in this movie. And he shows up in other Zucker Brothers movies later down the line, like Basketball, which is funny that he's been in a relationship with them for, 20 odd years. But as good as they all are, the best part of this movie is the four late great acting legends who are classic straight men playing doofy comedy for the very first time in this movie to perfection, like beyond perfection. You've got Robert Stack, who is probably mostly known to other folks like my age, even before I saw this, as the host of Unsolved Mysteries. And he too is in Basketball, which I thought was funny. Then you got Lloyd Bridges, who didn't want to do the film at first, but luckily his amazing sons, Jeff and Bo, convinced him to do it. So thank you, Jeff Bridges and Bo Bridges, for making your dad be in these movies, because he's hysterical. And then he had a whole career afterwards. And then you got Leslie Nielsen, who arguably is the glue that holds the genre together for, 20 odd years. And then Peter Graves, my local boy, he's from Minneapolis, Minnesota, making jokes to a little boy that would not be made today, that still, I watched it last night again, make me bust out laughing every single time, asking him if he likes Turkish bathhouses and movies with gladiators. God damn, that's funny. But you're not allowed to be funny in movies anymore, so now we got to watch 40-year-old movies like this. Who could forget the great supporting performance of the late Otto, the autopilot? Yes, Otto is no longer with us. He slowly disintegrated over the course of decades in the Zucker's garage. There's a lot of stuff to memorize. Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking cough syrup. God, it's awful. Kentucky Fried Movie exists. Did you know that? For those of you who are not in the know, Kentucky Fried Movie came out in 1977 and was directed by John Landis, who we all know and love. And it was co-written partially by this writing and directing team, Abrams and the Zuckers, or the ZAZ, as they are sometimes referred to, which I think is hilarious. I'm not going to go too far into that movie. Essentially, it's a movie that is a series of sketches cut together into a movie. It's pretty funny. I've seen it. It's been a while. I don't own it. Maybe I'll grab it soon for obvious reasons to rewatch it. But it's a Shout Factory release, just FYI to you people out there. According to the commentary on Airplane, Zucker Brothers and Abrams originally intended this whole thing to be like a movie within a movie, like in Kentucky Fried Movie, but that didn't happen, and they developed it into a full-length feature on its own, which luckily they did, because it's like arguably the greatest film of its genre in history. That's why I'm talking about it. The film is primarily a parody of the film 0 Hour, which came out in 1957, but there was a plethora of airport-related movies in the 70s that this is also obviously making fun of to an extent, along the lines of other popular things at the time, like Jaws and Saturday Night Fever. That cough syrup, I tell you. Little info about the film's box office successes here. The whole production only took $3.5 million to make, which back in 1980 is like normal. Nowadays, that's like a drop in the bucket of money going into films and such. Within 2 days, the film made its entire budget back, yes, and went on to gross, as of 2002, why it stops there, I don't know, maybe they did a re-release or something at that date. It made $171 million off of a $3.5 million budget. So I would say that that's pretty successful. Yeah, and a lot of it, need more cough syrup. A lot of it was during its original release. So it was a massive success, to say the least. I'm going to go get a second cup of coffee here, and then I'm going to talk about Airplane 2, the sequel. Derek never has a second cup of coffee when he's not making videos. Yeah, that's better. Airplane 2, the sequel. Did you know that it exists? Because I didn't for years after seeing the first one. Yes, it came out in 1982, and it has a lot of returning cast members, but not returning filmmakers, sadly. This one was written and directed by Ken Finkelman, a household name, if there ever was one. The Zucker brothers and Abrams didn't want to do a sequel. They thought they played out the concept enough in the first movie, which I understand, especially if they were going to make it a movie within a movie in the first place and stretched it into one movie. They don't got a Peter Jackson, the sumbitch, and make it 3 movies for no reason. The ZAZ, as I said earlier, was busy making Police Squad with Leslie Nielsen, the TV show, which I still haven't seen, sadly. I just realized. The show that the Naked Gun films are based on, yes. So that's a fact if you didn't realize that. The story is essentially the same thing, except it's on a spaceship, because science fiction movies, instead of an airplane. And yeah, it has Robert Hayes in it again, and Julie Haggerty again, playing their same characters. Robert Stack did not return. Lloyd Bridges is in the film. Leslie Nielsen, like I said, couldn't do it because he was doing Police Squad at the time. But oddly enough, there was a film that came out in 1981 that I never realized existed, called several things. It's called Spaceship. I'll put the poster up for that because it's awesome. And Naked Space. The best title. There it is. The Creature Wasn't Nice. Yes, that was like the actual theatrical IMDb title. And then the poster says Spaceship. And all the DVDs say Naked Space. And it's not on Blu-ray. It's shocking, right? So Leslie Nielsen's character, the Doctor, from the original Airplane, was replaced with John Vernon, who's amazing, as we all love him from Killing Clowns from Outer Space. And besides John Vernon, new cast members include William Shatner, who's quite hilarious in this film. Man with the best name in cinema history, Rip Torn, is in this film. And oddly enough, Sonny Bono, who's kind of like the villain of the film, sort of. He, from what I haven't had a chance to rewatch it. I'm going to rewatch it like immediately after doing this video, honestly. He's in some good movies. Airplane 2 is probably the peak of his cinematic starring roles. Well, that and Troll. I kind of compare this movie to another sequel of a quasi-parody film that I love, Wayne's World, that I grew up with. Because Wayne's World's not making fun of a like specific set of films or anything, but there's little gags throughout it that are spoofy. The biggest problem with the second one, at least most people would tell you, is that it's all the same jokes over again, which is partially true. They do recycle a lot of the same jokes. Sometimes it works because of that, but sometimes it's just like, yeah, we saw that already. But the film is pretty damn funny from what I remember. I'll let you know afterwards if I hate it or something. But like Wayne's World 2, I love Wayne's World 2. I think it's hilarious. I don't think it's a better movie than the first one, but I believe it's almost as funny. But Airplane 2, the sequel, give it a shot if you haven't seen it. It's funnier than most sequels. Sadly, the box office performance of this one came nowhere near the original. Not surprisingly, right? After what I've said. The second one cost $15 million to make, so almost 5 times as much to make. And it only made upwards of $27 million in the box office. But you know, if it's a cheaper made movie with not so much marketing, that could be a success. Or at least a moderate success. But time has told us that no Airplane 3 will probably ever exist. Nor should it probably at this point, because they won't be able to make it. Both these films, I didn't mention, are rated PG. Glorious early 80s, pre-PG-13 existent PG. That means they can have poop throwing into fans jokes, little girls talking about how she likes her men like she likes her black coffee jokes, naked boobies on the screen, like right up on the screen, like right there. Cuties fan jokes, or I'll say that instead. Amazing movies. I love them. The first one's obviously like a classic, brilliant comedy. The second one is funny enough to warrant existing and deserves a watch. Even if you don't love it, at least watch it once. Just because I told you to. And I usually like good things. I am Derek, the Convicted Cinephile. Please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you're enjoying Spoof Movie Summer. Hashtag Spoof Movie Summer. And there is plenty more to come. Don't you worry about that. Yes. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you next time. Picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
Talk, shop, pop, movies.